Hello everyone! Today we will continue the Legend of the Five Rings lore series with my clan, the Scorpion Clan. But before we continue, I would like to ask you to like the video, subscribe, and perhaps even join my Patreon, because all of these actions will support the channel. So thank you all for the Patreons who already joined our community. Now, with that out of the way, we can delve into the Scorpion Clan. And as always, we will discuss the families of the Scorpion, but how did they come to be? History and founding of the Scorpion Clan. After the Kami fell from the heavens and after the founding of Rokugan, the Kami decided to organize a tournament to determine who among them would become the ruler of Rokugan and its inhabitants. Bayushi fought against Shinjo and won. Next up was his twin brother Shiba. Before the battle commenced, the wise man Shinsei took Bayushi aside and told him the tale of the scorpion and the frog. This is what Shinsei and Bayushi discussed, as quoted from the first edition RPG book, The Way of the Scorpion. This is an old tale, one of the oldest in fact. It is the first story I ever learned, and I will tell it to you now. It is said that when the children of Sun and Moon held their great contest to see who would rule, Bayushi stood by and watched his brothers and sisters fight, saw Shinsei, and approached him. Bayushi said, "Little master, I have a question for you." Shinsei said nothing, only focused on the contest. Bayushi continued, "I hope to win the contest, but I do not know if my strategy will carry me through." "There is more than one way to win the contest," Shinsei said. Bayushi sat down next to Shinsei and said, "Tell me." Shinsei nodded and began. "There was once a little frog who lived by the riverside. One day, a scorpion wandered by and asked the little frog if he would carry him across the river. Bayushi smiled. "I know this story, little master." Shinsei frowned. "Are you sure?" He waited for a moment, still watching the contest. Bayushi fell silent and waited for him to continue. The scorpion said to the frog, "Carry me across the river." The frog said, "I will not, for if I do, you will sting me." The scorpion said, "I will not, for if I do, we will both drown." Bayushi nodded impatiently. Yes, I have heard this story." Shinsei frowned again. "Are you sure?" He waited for a moment, still watching the contest. Bayushi fell silent again and waited for him to continue. The frog saw wisdom in the scorpion's words, so he let her climb on his back and began swimming across the river. About halfway across, he felt a painful sting in his back. Yes, I know this story," Bayushi exclaimed. Finally, Shinsei turned from the contest and looked into Bayushi's eyes. Bayushi fell silent. "I am sorry, little master. Please, continue." Shinsei turned his eyes back to the contest. The frog felt the scorpion's poison flow into his heart, and as death closed in on him, they both began to sink into the cold water. Shinsei paused a moment, but Bayushi remained silent. Just before his nose slipped under the waves, the frog said, "Scorpion, now we will both drown." But the scorpion smiled. Shinsei paused again and turned to look at Bayushi. And she said, "But little frog, I can swim." Bayushi sat next to Shinsei, his face showing his stunned surprise. Then, slowly, he began to smile. "I understand, little master." Shinsei suddenly delivered a swift strike from his walking stick against Bayushi's mouth. His lips broke and blood sprayed. Bayushi leapt to his feet and put his hands to his face. "Why did you do that?" he said through his smashed lips. "Pain is the liar's only reward. Your face told me one thing and your eyes told me another. I had to reward one of the two, So I chose to reward your lying face. Bayushi stood in silence as his blood trickled onto the earth. And slowly, painfully, he smiled. He ripped a piece of cloth from his robe, wrapped it about his face, walked into the contest, and lost on purpose. Then he returned to Shinsei and bowed low to the little master. Shinsei nodded. Now you know how to swim. After this tournament, it was a common saying that a scorpion wears a mask to let you know he cannot be trusted. Bayushi, however, wanted to conceal his smile as he carried out his plan. These events also made sure that the number 3 would be seen as unlucky by the followers of Bayushi, because he was the third to fall in the tournament. The winner would eventually be Hantai, who would rule Rokugan from here on out. Bayushi pledged his allegiance to Hantai, as did their other siblings. This is when the Scorpion clan was founded. Hantai asked of Bayushi to serve as his underhand and as villain. Bayushi accepted this role, but reminded Hantai that if he or his children would ever be betrayed, he should remember that they never faced each other at the tournament. The Bayushi family. The mon of the Bayushi is a scorpion surrounded by water. The motto is that of the story told to Bayushi: I can swim. The Bayushi were often the public faces and the leaders of the Scorpion clan. One of the traditions of the Bayushi was for their guests to bathe upon arrival. These guests would often comment that they felt vulnerable, being naked in the home of a scorpion. They were afraid of being disposed of in this manner. The Shosuro family. The mon of the Shosuro depicts an endless loop made of ivy. This eternal maze is a puzzle that may never be solved. Shosuro was the first follower of Bayushi. At first, Shosuro was seen as a stable boy, but during their stay at a geisha house, Bayushi found out with a knife against his throat that Shosuro could change her appearance. Against the counsel of 2 of his siblings, Bayushi accepted Shosuro as his first follower. She was sent as the Scorpion Thunder during the Day of Thunder to battle Fu Leng alongside the other clan Thunders. Shosuro returned from this battle with the 12 black scrolls that held the essence of Fu Leng. Bayushi petitioned Emperor Hantai that the Scorpion clan must become the guardians of the scrolls. The emperor would accept. Shosuro would have a hard time after the Day of Thunder. She struggled against the lying darkness, which was the maddening nothing, and bargained for her life during the battle. She could not exist like this, and decided to fake her death and flee the Scorpion clan. The family these days excels at acting, arts, and drama. They are perfect spies and assassins who can use their surroundings and acting skills to their benefit. The Shosuro are surrounded by lies. And if you would befriend a Shosuro, you should not be surprised to find your problems quickly melting away. The Soshi family. The mon of the Soshi family depicts a scorpion holding out a net. When the material remains of Shosuro, her mask and clothes, were symbolically cremated, there stood a young Shugenja next to Bayushi. His name was Soshi. Both of them would build a secret fortress guarded by sorcery and shadow, and Soshi would eventually replace Shosuro and become Bayushi's advisor and closest confidant. The Soshi family that was created afterwards was Shigenja, but most would eventually follow other professions. The Yogo family. The mon of the Yogo family represents a mask with flaming feathers, showing off their lost connection to the Phoenix clan. Asako Yogo was a Phoenix Clan Shugenja of fire. Yogo became cursed by Fu Leng in the war against Fu Leng. This curse meant that Yogo was destined to betray the one he loved the most at the most crucial moment of his life. It is said that the curse would run through his blood all the way through all of his descendants up until these days. Yogo wanted to commit seppuku, but right before he wanted to do so, Bayushi appeared and wanted to stop him. He tried to convince him to join the Scorpion and to take revenge for those who cursed him. Yogo reminded Bayushi that he could not join him because of his traitor's curse. Bayushi smiled and answered, "But you do not love me." Yogo left the Phoenix clan to found his own family within the Scorpion clan. Yogo was given a large box with the 12 black scrolls inside it to protect. Yogo changed his name to Yogo Kocho, married again and had 3 daughters despite his wish for a son. He despised the children, and when he was 70 years of age, he passed on the responsibilities of protecting the scrolls onto his eldest daughter. His youngest daughter knew her sister was not up to the task and was proven right when, within a year of this new task, the location of the 12 scrolls had to be resecured. Ever since that time, only the Scorpion clan champion was allowed to know the location of the scrolls. The duty of the Yogo family has ever since been to protect the Black Scrolls, which they had done so for over 1,000 years. Views on the other clans by the Scorpion clan. The Crab clan. A crab is easy to fool. He will kill you without mercy or shame, so never let him know the root of his misery and pain. However, respect their duty, for their wall stands between us and the Shadowlands. The crab resent us, but do not show it. Strength is no match for cunning. The Crane clan. The Crane think themselves so noble, and all their poets praise the high virtue of love. But where is love in a geisha house? I have never found it there. Yet more than any other clan, the samurai of the Crane can be found trying to woo the affections of a geisha. And in disguise! If love is such a noble virtue, then why do they hide it while pursuing? Dragon clan. The dragon hide in their mountain keeps, afraid to commit to the world, afraid of life, afraid to fail. Lion clan. The lion are nothing. They cannot threaten me with shame or dishonor. Death is only a threat they offer. But death only brings me back to my ancestors. The Phoenix clan. They read and learn, but they never know. All their life, a phoenix studies, but if he must battle, he is lost, like a child wanting to go home. If he were to be put in court, he is equally useless, stammering and hoping to be done soon. They have no heart, they have no spine, they lack life. When a phoenix troubles you, just put a pretty girl in front of them and watch him run out of words to say. The Unicorn clan. After numerous observations, I do not understand them. They brought back something from the mountains they tried to hide. They do not play our game. They are less than pawns, pieces that did not have the muster to make it to the board. The minor clans. They matter not, even less so than the unicorn. If we want something from them, we make the lion crush them. That was it for the Scorpion clan. Thank you all very much for listening. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you really want to help out the channel, join me on Patreon as well. Next time, we will visit the final great clan, the Unicorn. So see you all then. Bye-bye.